I am on page 332. For those of you who were on the field trip and missed today, we did number 2 and number 5 as part of our class, and I asked to solve the problem by making a table and also to solve the problem by setting the two equations equal to one another. So that's what this is all about. We've already done this part in class. Notice that you just create a table. Here are your x values. Here are your y values for your first singer A. Here are your y values for your second singer, or singer B. Okay, or I called them f of x and g of x. But anyway, these are your costs based on the number of hours that you hire these guys for. Okay, and you notice that the answer, when will the two singers charge the same amount of money? They will charge the same amount of money if they come sing for you for 5 hours. Okay, so I could tell that from the table. I could also tell that by setting the two equations equal to one another. But the reality is that we don't always have a nice even little number, and it doesn't always show up easily in the table. Okay, we're going to go and address this with our graphing calculator, because it's basically, here is one tool to solving these problems. Make a table, figure out where the values kind of are the same. Tool number 2, set the equations equal to each other and solve for x. Tool number 3 is put it in a graphing calculator and solve it that way. All right, so that's the part we're going to do now. We're going to put these two equations in. So 50 plus 20x and 100 plus 10x. I'm going to take a look and redo my window settings. I'm going to say my minimum x value is 0, because I can tell that all of this is going to be both positive x and positive y's when I solve this. And then I'll just go to 10. I think that'll be enough. My minimum y value, it's only going to go up from 50. So this is like the one-time fee, and then it adds on based on how many hours you hire singer A. So 50 is going to be your minimum. And I don't know, let's just put 250 for the maximum. Give us a little bit of wiggle room. All right, so I've changed my window settings. I have my two equations. I have my windows reset. And then I'm going to hit graph. All right, and there's where my two lines cross. Notice, here's my y-axis, here's my x-axis. I'm only worried about showing the first quadrant where all of my values for x and y are positive, because I could just tell by the situation that's all I needed. All right. I can do a couple of things. So I can do second function graph, and I can look at my y values, my y1, which is this set, okay, for singer A, and then I can look at my set of costs for singer B, which is the same as here. Okay. Go back to graph. So here's my graph. I can also find the solution using the graph. I'm going to hit trace. And right now it's looking at this first graph line. I can hit enter if I want to. Oops. Hang on. Didn't really mean to hit that. I meant to hit this. I can hit the down button if I want to change which line I'm looking at. Okay, it just so happens that they just put that right there square in the middle, so I kind of lucked out. But I can move this guy along my second line one way or the other. If I want to trade lines, move one way or the other. Okay. But I can go and attempt to calculate. I mean, if this, obviously it's pretty easy because it's a nice solid 5, but let's say it had been a decimal value and I'm having to figure out where the intersection is. I hit the second trace because I want the calculate menu, and then I select 5, intersect, and it's got the little blinker on the first curve, and you're like, that's great, that looks pretty good. Second curve, sure. Take a guess, sure. And it actually will tell you this is where the intersection is. Okay, so that's another way that you can figure out the solution to this particular situation. Okay, X means 5 hours, and what would they be charging for 5 hours? Both of them would be charging $150, which is why the line intersects at that point. Okay, let's look at the other one that we did in class as well. That was number 5 on page 333. Okay, again, with this situation, we've got the equation for what mime A charges. I'm not sure why you'd hire a mime, but anyway. Then mime B, this is their equation for what they would charge. We solved it in class with a table where we generated the values. And then we also solved it in class by putting the two equations equal to one another and solving for X. So at 3 hours, either mime is going to charge you $150. So again, nice round numbers, and it works out nicely. We can pick it easily off the table, but that doesn't always work out that way. And let's just go and do a little more practice with how we would deal with this on our graphing calculator. So I need to clear that out, clear that other one out. Let's put our other equations for this particular problem. So 75 plus 25x, and then 30 plus 40x. I need to change probably my window values a little bit. 0 to 10, that's okay. My smallest charge is going to start at my y-intercept for mime B. So my smallest y value, we'll just start at 30. If we go up to, I don't know, 250 or 300, that should be plenty. And then we can hit graph. And I can see that they intersect right there. All right. I can look at my table by hitting second graph. Okay. This is basically the same table that you generated over here. I can also go back to the graph. Let's hit the trace button. And I can scoot along and sort of approximate where the intersection is right there. If I want to scoot along the other line, then I just hit the up or down button, and it'll trade it for the second equation. Second equation, if I hit the up or down button, it'll go back to the first equation. Okay, the left and right will slide along the little lines. Okay, the bottom line is I'm ready to figure out what the intersection is. So I'm going to go second trace, which gives me the calculate menu. I'm going to go down to intersect, hit enter. And I'm not, I mean, if y'all notice, I can zoom in and try to take my best guess, but honestly, we have figured out that I don't even have to do that. First curve, great. Second curve, great. Take a guess? Sure. It might make you seem like that's going to be your guess, but it will actually give you where it intersects. Ding! Right there. So the intersection of those two lines is at x equals 3 and y equals 150. So if you hire either mime for 3 hours, you are going to pay $150.